Lexus updated its little UX crossover for 2025, delivering more power, an updated interior, a new name, UX300h, and even a new color. Let's take a closer look. By the way, Lexus calls it a crossover, the government calls it a compact car. This is a 2025 Lexus UX300h F Sport handling. Looking at the front of the UX, this largely stays the same, but I do think it's a reasonable look anyway. It's got the fairly trademark Lexus spindle grille right here. It's very loud and proud section right here, and it is finished in this gloss black, which gives it even more presence. You've got this massive Lexus logo right up front and right up top, very likely holding some adaptive cruise control hardware behind it. We also have these, what I quite like, these check mark LED DRLs right here, and in detail it actually says Lexus right at the end of it right here. This little piece of chrome that runs through it, I do appreciate that. We have this nice piece of dark chrome down here at the base, adds just a little bit of glitz to the bottom of the car, and more gloss black way off to the sides here to kind of just extend the width of the car just a little bit visually, and it works just fine for me. This grille isn't my favorite. It's a bit much in my opinion, but with the UX, because the UX is so small and adorable, let's say, I actually don't mind it so much. I think it works reasonably well in this application. Also, one interesting thing about the UX, the fenders, hood, and doors are actually made from aluminum. But this 2025 model does have more power. Let's look under the aluminum hood. And there you have it, the transversely mounted 2-liter hybrid engine, 196 horsepower in total, courtesy of both the internal combustion engine and the electric motors of the hybrid system. The engine on its own makes 150 horsepower and 139 pound-feet of torque. The engine wins on horsepower, but the electric motor makes 111 horsepower and 152 pound-feet of torque, so the electric motor wins on torque. Lexus does not give a total system torque figure, but we do now know that it is at least 152 pound-feet. And it is a fairly tidy setup. We have a nice little air box right here. Intake is on the front, exhaust is on the back. You can see a heat shield right here and the catalytic converter just after the exhaust manifold. Then we have on this side the hybrid and transaxle components right here, all neat and tidy. If this engine were to have a serpentine belt, it would be on this side, but I looked closely and I can't find one anywhere. That's pretty slick actually, to not have to worry about that. I can see very clearly the dipstick right here, right in the center, and we have this lovely little badge right here, 0W8 oil weight. This is some thin stuff. The front axle center line comes right to basically the back of this relay, this fuse box right here, which means much of the engine is ahead of that center line, which will make this a fairly front heavy machine. The fact that it's a hatchback helps a little bit. The fact that it's a battery pack in the back, battery pack sits under the rear seat, that helps a little bit, but this is still generally a nose heavy car. Tell you what doesn't help, these little leaves here. It is early fall in Michigan after all. And finally, we do have our windshield washer fill-up on the passenger side, easy to get to right here. Looking at the UX300h in profile gives you a nice view of this new for 2025 two-tone paint. Copper crest is this main paint right here, and I will tell you that I've received multiple compliments about this color as I've driven this car this week. That's been interesting to listen to. It's a popular color, and it's a really interesting color. In certain lights, it looks very pink. In other lights, it looks very orange. But overall, I really like it, and I absolutely love the fact that it's not on the grayscale. It's not some silver, white, or black kind of color. However, the second tone of the two-tone paint is black. Lexus calls it obsidian. We've got a black roof right here, and this two-tone paint color is an optional extra. It is $945 for the combination. The copper crest color is new for 2025, hence the new paint color for 2025. One note about paint: every color for the UX, other than just going straight black, which again Lexus calls obsidian, is an optional extra of some kind. As you can see on the front fender right here, this is in fact an F Sport UX300. It is the F Sport handling, the top trim of the group. But being an F Sport means that we do have a little bit more gloss black on this car. That does include these gloss black roof rails right here, but you will see gloss black on the side view mirror covers, in the little bits on the window, as well as the B pillar right here. You see it in this roof mounted spoiler slash back section right here, and in a few other spots. I like the gloss black on the UX300H. I think it works. This is a pretty busy design generally speaking, but they executed pretty well. You'll see these like little lumpy fender flare bits right here. This isn't my favorite. This looks a little just attached at the end, not fully thought through. But I do like the fact that it's body color and not some black, especially a matte black. I think that part's nice. There is also this character line that starts just below the F Sport badge, runs right through the front door handle, just above the rear door handle, and then kind of fades in to the rear quarter panel a bit. And here you see a more pronounced fender flare with the gas tank built into it there. It ends with that kind of chunky add-on again, but this I think generally is a nice shape. There is also a second character line. It starts right in the door here and kind of sharpens as you go back and creases up. And I do think that kind of draws your eye to this rear fender flare. Again, both nice touches. Overall, I'd be happier if this were a cleaner design, but again, I do think it looks cool, I'll say. There is also one accessory that you can see in profile. We do have $165 mud guards here and here. Every single UX comes with an 18-inch alloy wheel, but the designs do change a bit with the different trims. And I do think that this is a nice looking wheel, a nice design. It complements the rest of the car. I like this polished metal, darker finish for it. I think it all works really well. And we have these perfectly reasonable all-season tires mounted on it. They are pretty thin. You know, we're working with 50 series rubber, but in this day and age, 50 series is actually more tire wall than usual you get to play with, so I'll take it. And yes, this is a Lexus crossover. As far as Lexus is concerned, the wheel and tire in back is the same size as the one in front. Looking at the rear of the UX, pretty busy again, but I think also executed pretty well. Here's another look at that rear mounted gloss black roof mounted spoiler. We do have a fairly steep slope to the rear windshield right here. And then we have this kind of like shelf built in the taillights here. And then like almost a tail fin, shark fin kind of thing built into it on the either side. And then it does run right across the full width of the car to the other side. And I think, yeah, looks nice. This is a nice element of the rear of the car. Then we have a much more tastefully sized Lexus badge, our UX300H logo right here, and then a matte black bumper before we go down to our nice and tidy and nothing crazy single exhaust tip down there, just as it should be. We also have some reflectors on the far end and then some gloss at the very far end to give it just a little bit of something to draw your eye outward. This isn't my favorite part of the car, and the fact that it has a slope to the rear windshield does impede cargo room just a little bit, but overall, I think it fits the rest of the car and works pretty well. Anyway, let's look at that cargo space. You just saw a composite tailgate lift electrically. Also, we do have this little clear plastic right here on the base, the top part of the bumper right here. This is a rear bumper applique. This is a $90 accessory and helps limit scratches and that kind of thing on the bumper. A nice touch. This particular UX also has a $140 carpeted cargo mat right here, which is lovely. And if you take it off, you get a real nice view of this underfloor storage right here. And as you can see, it's a pretty decent amount actually. Beneath that, there's a subfloor with even more space down low. And that's pretty clever. And beneath that, we have even more space, and it looks like the setup for a spare tire, but no actual spare tire. And I'm not sure there's room for one. So that's interesting to see. We do have this little tow hook right here, so that's something. And on the passenger side, we do also have this little compartment right here, and I actually put in the first aid kit which came with the car, and Velcro's on right here. But all in all, you get 17 cubic feet of cargo space. Not a huge number, but it's not bad, and it's a pretty easy space to use. We do also have tie downs here. We have a little hook up here, another little hook right here, similar things on the other side, and a 12-volt port right here. Oh, and what's this? Another little compartment right through here. So you have nice little hidden spaces, hidden compartments in the UX. That could prove handy. And if you need more space, that is easy to do. Fold down the second row seats and you have more than 17 cubic feet of space. Lexus doesn't say how much, but I'm going to go ahead and guess like 40-ish. And it's actually going to be tight, but I do think I can squeeze my bike in. Let's find out. Put the cargo mat back in first. I'm not concerned about width, but length has got me. Well, maybe I should be concerned about width. All right, well, I can squeeze past just barely. And then sure, it does fit. Not with a ton of margin though. But hey, it closes, it's inside, it fits. All right, let's take a look inside ourselves. The interior is of course black and pretty darn dark. You can see it's a pretty simple interior as well. Got, you know, hardish plastics right here, some softness right here, but otherwise pretty Spartan, pretty simple. We do have this nice little polished metal kick plate right here, but as you can see, this is definitely a compact space, not a lot of it. I did also have my son's booster seat in this car earlier. The front seat is set to be comfortable for me up front, so we'll see how it is for me in back. You know what? Not so bad. I do have foot room down low, and I do actually have an inch of knee room, and the seat bottoms aren't great, but they aren't bad as well. So seat bottoms are a little bit higher than I expected. That puts me right around a 90-degree bend in my knees. I do also have headroom, and we do have a couple of USB Type-C ports right there to plug into, but that's really about it. But for a compact car like this, space is a critical element, and we have space. And we do, of course, also have an armrest with cup holders. So yeah, it's fine back here. Short trips would be no trouble at all. All right, to the front. There's a couple things to look at up front. First of all, we do have the usual controls on the seats right there. And we do have this nice polished door handle right there. We do have 3-position seat memory as well, and a nice little pocket with a spot for a bottle right there. We also have the $425 illuminated Lexus kick plate right there. We do also have a power seat with lumbar support which I always appreciate. Because this is an F Sport, we get aluminum pedals right there, which look lovely. And we also get this red stitching with our black seats, and they do say F Sport embossed into the headrest. And the material for the seat is a synthetic one called New Lux. We do also have a few controls to the left of the steering wheel, and the steering wheel itself tells you that it's an F Sport. Also, you can electrically adjust tilt and telescope of the steering right here, but only when the car is on. The steering wheel itself is a nice and small diameter, and as I mentioned, it says F Sport at the bottom right here. We do have more of that red stitching on the inside. We do also have paddle shifters, up shift on the right, down shift on the left, and several controls on the steering wheel. These largely control cruise control. These largely control your media options. And your media options are higher than the base trims because we have a fully digital 12.3-inch instrument cluster right here and another 12.3-inch center display. We also have traction control and drive modes right on top, sticking out just below the dash right here. That's an interesting little thing. Personally, I like it. We also have a optional $900 head-up display right there. The base model gets a partially digital 7-inch screen right here. And the F Sport handling is actually the only trim that gets the 12.3-inch screen. Every other trim gets an 8-inch screen. Push button start is right here. And there is the instrument cluster lit up and the center display lit up. This center display does also have wireless Apple CarPlay and wireless Android Auto. Being fully digital means, of course, that it's adjustable. We use this little trackpad right here. So if I just move it to the side, I get this little screen right here. If I press and hold the OK button right here, it allows me to change what's in the center display. And if I go to the left, I can change the options on the left. Go to the right, I can change the options on the right. But you can only do that when the vehicle's in park. If you're moving, it's not going to want you to touch anything. You can still change the general displays, but not the screens inside them. How do you change the general displays? Back to the trackpad, you just get these options right here. 1, 2, 3. The center display, of course, has tons of options in it as well. Climate control options, comfort options, and driver assistance, trip information, and there's also settings where you can change a bunch of stuff as well. However, you also have the voice assistant. Hey Lexus, set the temperature to 68 degrees.
Setting the driver's temperature to 68 degrees.
And there we go. By the way, the dual zone climate control is standard on the UX. Beneath that, we do have a couple more USB Type-C ports right there and the wireless smartphone charging pad right there. This is a $75 option, not standard. Beneath that, we do have a couple of cup holders and then our nice and tidy looking Prindle, which stays in place but moves to put you in drive like that, and then push it for park. Just beneath that, we have our EV mode and brake hold. This does now have a lithium-ion battery, so you might get a little bit more EV mode out of it. But next to that, this is where we have our heated and ventilated front seats, which come on the premium and higher trims, and the heated steering wheel, which come on the F Sport trims. Beneath that is our lower center console storage, but it does come with a neat trick. The button to open it is right there, so you can open it, easy to get to, and then you have another 12-volt port right here and a USB Type A port right there. But the passenger side also has a button. You can also open it from the passenger side. See this little notch here? It's also here. So it can open either way, which I think is clever. Looking up, we do have lights, and they are just touch lights on and off like that. And then controls for our moonroof right here. We do have a manual privacy panel, but it does open and close and tilt electrically. All right, let's talk drive modes. We have a few. First of all, we start in the normal drive mode, press this button, that goes to our custom drive mode, and we can set the custom drive mode right here. And you can see that we have powertrain suspension steering, and air conditioning. This does have an adjustable suspension. We have adaptive shock absorbers in this UX300H F Sport. So there is handling differences with the different drive modes, not just powertrain. Press the button again, we're back to normal. Move this dial up, that puts us in Sport. Move it up again, Sport Plus. Sport and Sport Plus speed up the powertrain certainly, and we do also get the sportier shock absorber settings. Turn the dial down, and we're instead in the eco driving mode. That slows down the powertrain controls, gives you a slower throttle map, those types of things, and keeps it in the normal mode for the suspension. Push the button again, and we are back to the normal driving mode. So there you have it, the 2025 updated Lexus UX300H. The base price for the base model with front wheel drive is $38,035. This top trim F Sport handling raises that price considerably, $46,500, but you do get the adjustable suspension along with all the other tricks, and I do definitely also like the larger center display screen, so money well spent, I'd say. And my test car did have the optional paint, the head-up display, and a few other accessories, and costs $49,340. For that money, you do get, I'd say, a healthy amount of luxury in a nice and small package. I find this car comfortable for two people for sure, reasonable for two people that happen to be parents with a younger child, and probably a little bit tight for a family with two kids. But it's nice and easy to maneuver around in the city, easier to find parallel parking and other parking spots, and comfortable otherwise. If you want a little bit more comfort, but you don't want something big, the UX is worth checking out. It's nice that you get a little bit more power to play with too. I'm Robin Warner. Thank you very much for watching.